So he got it out and he was like, whatever it takes, I'm gonna do it, whatever my mom says. And so we get onto the highway, and the very first car we pull in behind, and the highway car comes, and it said baseball mom, huge sticker on the back windshield. I was like, oh my God. Like, so it was just as much for me, like for him. There's no confusing. They were asking about going to a baseball academy, and the very first thing we see is a baseball sticker, and it says baseball mom.
Right. And also, if they were your motherly concerns,
Yeah.
and here
Yep.
you go, baseball mom.
I was like, here we go. That means I'm here to support you. Like,
And not
but
just one side.
yep.
It could be enough, right? If you,
Yeah.
it could be enough, but I personally say, no, I need more because I
Mhm.
want confirmation. So I need more. Let's see how many more Mary got. And I
Yes.
have a client actually who always looks for signs. Of course, we've been in it for a long time. And she says, how come you always get 3 and I always get 2? So she gets 2 signs to confirm her and I get 3. And I said, I never even think about 3. It just happens, right? And for her, 2 happens. So we laugh about it because it's
That's
cute.
funny.
It's 2 and I get 3. So what does it mean? Everybody has their own, and
Mhm.
she's fine with 2 because maybe she's much smarter than I am, and 2 is enough. I'm too stubborn to. I need 3. Who knows?
Well, I just understood, like, just as a conversation, we're on the road and we're going to be on the road for a while. So we're not going to stop at one. We're going to keep going until the whole answer shows up, no matter what it is.
Oh, you were determined. I didn't know
Yes.
that part. You were
Yes,
determined.
it was going to happen no matter what. So the next thing that we saw was a trailer on the side of the road, and it had legacy on it. And so Dominic, his great grandfather, played baseball with Ted Williams on the farm team before he was picked up by the Boston Red Sox. Like, that in and of itself is a legacy. Ted Williams is a legacy in baseball. And then my dad, Dominic's grandpa, also played baseball. He also pitched a no-hitter. Like, it would be a legacy for him to play. So that was really cool to just see that on the side of the road. It's like, Dominic, it's a legacy. You're part of a legacy,
And
and
again, this is so relates to you because
mhm,
if I don't have any history of that, I wouldn't even know. A legacy would mean something else for me,
mhm,
but it would be entirely different from what you had. So
mhm.
it was right on target at the right moment to show you the answer.
Yep. And then we continue driving, and the traffic's, picking up and stuff. And then the song comes on the radio, Doobie Brothers, listen to the music. And I tell him, listen to the music. He's like, what? And I said, no, write it down, because they're telling you, listen to the music. They're going to keep talking to you. And he's like, okay. And then there was, several different, all kinds of numbers, whether it was 777, 444, 333. There was tons of numbers. Then at one point we pulled off, the road because there was construction and stuff, and stopped and, got a coffee. And then we came back onto the highway. And as soon as we came on, there were 3 cars in a row. The one on the left was 777. The one right in front of us was 1111. And the one to the right had Florida tags. And I just took a picture because you can't make that up.
That's right. That's right.
And I sent that picture to Irina and all of us in the little club, and just said, hey, Dominic's thinking about going to play baseball in Florida. What do you think from this picture?
So imagine 3 cars at the same time to make sure that you get it, getting your attention. On one side, 777. We know 777, everybody knows, hit the jackpot, right? It's a blessing number, good number. 1111, it's the spirit approves you, spirit hugs you. It's when you do something and you see 1111, it's the approval. It's a very good, positive spiritual side approves you. So perfect, right? And Florida. out of all states, you needed
Right.
to choose Florida, and you live in Colorado. You're
Yep.
not even close to Florida
Nope.
in any shape or form. So suddenly you're seeing Florida state license plate right next to you at that particular moment. You can make this stuff up.
Nope.
That's another thing. We use this mantra a lot.
So I did say to Dominic, because I did take that picture and send it to you, and you responded like immediately, like, oh my gosh, this is what is saying to Dominic, like, yes, you have all the blessings in full support. And I showed it to him and I said, see, Dominic, just so you know, he could see, like, oh, this is other people see exactly what my mom's seen, like right here. This is what is appearing, and it's not just my mom saying that, you know. And he was like, oh wow. And so then we're getting down closer to where we're going to be stopping. I only had the address, I didn't know what the building was called, but we were coming down the exit and there's a big huge billboard and it said, you know, through Egypt come the gods and the kings. And I was like, oh. And Irina had been mentioning that very many times in the class, and Dominic did not know that. But Dominic was looking at it, and I could see it in him, like something was moving. And he was like, oh, and it resonated with him, you know? And so then we turned off and going down the road, and there's
would you see, how would you interpret it? I know we're going into depth. This is a little bit more high level understanding. Would he say that for Dominic, could it be that if he goes through the camp experiences, he will be on a much higher level? Because through Egypt come the kings, meaning, and gods, meaning you went through this experience and you became, you came out on a good level, on a different level. Is that how you interpreted it, or
well,
different?
that's possible. But what I thought from it was because of COVID, he wasn't able to play. And so he had to complete all of his studies and be held from it. Like he was not allowed to play because he was 19 in high school and you can't play. And so he continued with it, but it didn't fall from him. Like he still pursued it. And so that was just my interpretation, is he's done the work. And so his reward was this academy. Like now you did all your studies, now you can just play and
that's right. Yes, that's right. That was actually better explanation, because it wasn't in the future, but it's actually, I've done it, and that's how it was for me. So you see, we don't just look at the sign, we also interpret the sign, and we see how it relates to our current life at this particular situation. And it actually very much
there. Because it was
Okay.
not easy for him to do at all. You know, so it was really like, wow. It was almost like, you know, God just saying, we see what you did. And really, and I think that that's how it touched him, because he just stared at the billboard and he couldn't just take his eyes off of it. It meant something to him, you know, very much. So that was
he
really
got
cool.
a response to the sign.
Yeah.
That's
and that
amazing.
Yes, makes me giddy, but that's because I'm his mom too.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. As a mom, I know how it feels.
Right?
Yes.
So then we were turning and going to the building, and there's a green, neon green car right in front of it. And that's my personal thing. Like, let me know there's magic. Put it neon green in front of me so I don't miss it. Right?
Because of Mary, we all see now neon green color cars everywhere.
So the neon green car was there, and we're pulling into the parking lot, and there's a huge sign. The place is called the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center. What? And then what did they teach? Course of Miracles. And so I'd take a picture of the whole sign, because you can't make this stuff up, right?
Right.
And we park, and it's 555 right in front of us on the license plate, which means life change.
Yep.
Right?
Change. Yep.
What? And Dominic's just like, I think something weird's happening, but I don't know if I want to say it.
So he got it too.
Because
Got
he
it
was
too.
like, what? And I think his willingness, really, like, I'm going to come out here and play with my mom, but he really was being willing, and it started to
Right.
shape him.
Exactly. If you
Yeah.
close up, then you
Yeah.
won't see it.
Right.
But because he was willing. And yes, the incentive helped, but you still need to be ready to wake up.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so he goes in, it's so cute. And he had like an aura picture taken, you know, and then he's sitting with this lady, and she was all dressed in scarlet colors. And she did a luminography on him, and he had to, you know, pull some cards. There's a little metaphysical fairy, you know. And so he's just pulling the cards, and she's like, oh, you need to go and do your dream. You have a childhood dream that you want to do. And I'm just like, you can't make this up.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know about that.
She's telling him, it's your time now. Like, this is your time, right? And she's like, and this comes from your soul, because the sacral chakra card, you know, came up and everything. And then she's like, you know what, you know, at the end, why don't, here, go pull a card. This is, you know, your spirit animal. And they were all face down, right? So Dominic pulls the card, and what is it? The alligator. Not anything else. It's the alligator, the Florida Gators. And
Right.
I just start laughing.
And I would say alligator, if you would look at alligator at some other point, I usually look at an alligator as the issue, old, ancient, blah, blah, blah. But because it was so much in the flow, it was exactly at this particular moment, and it was exactly in the context of him going there, or being decided. His life, basically his life was being decided at that moment.
Yeah.
How to proceed. So definitely an alligator was the Florida sign.
Well, and they also had the Florida Gators on the Academy's website. Like, yeah. So, I mean, it was like, you couldn't make that any better. Right?
Oh my goodness. Yes.
And so really it was like, okay, Dominic, what do you think? Like, oh my gosh. He's like, looks like I'm going to Florida. Like, he compiled all the signs.